Right, guys, Brentford have just beaten Brighton by 2-0 in what I would describe as a very typical Brentford performance. It's what you expect from them when they're bringing their A game. They didn't have the majority of possession as you would expect. Brighton, they're a very possession heavy side, and that hasn't really changed since Roberto De Zerbi has come in. Like, even in the two games they had before this against Liverpool and Tottenham, two big teams, two of the top six teams in English football. They had plenty of possession in both games. I wouldn't say they dominated, but they still had a lot of possession. So the style of football seems to be very similar under De Zerbi as it was to how it was under Graham Potter. And Brighton, they had the majority of possession in the first half, but it was Brentford who got the goal through Ivan Toney. It was a brilliant brilliant piece of build-up play down the right-hand side from Brian Mbeumo, and I think it was Frank Onyeka who pulls it back to Ivan Toney, and it's a lovely little flick into the bottom left corner. And he times his run absolutely brilliantly to get past Adam Webster, and times the flick perfectly as well. And he got the second goal in the second half as well. Penalty, absolute definite penalty. And there was absolutely no chance he was missing. He's now the third best penalty taker of all time in the Premier League. How it's worked out is he's got a 100% penalty record, but there are two players who've scored more penalties than him who've still got 100% records. I think Yaya Touré's got 11, and Dimitar Berbatov's got 9, and Tony's got 8. So he only needs 4 more to be the official best penalty taker in Premier League history, without missing a penalty, of course. Brentford, they held on. Brighton didn't really cause too many problems. David Raya had to make a few saves, but other than that, Brighton looked pretty blunt, to be completely honest. And to be fair to Brighton, you could understand it. I mean, they've had a pretty tough week, having to come to terms with the news that Enoch Mwepu is not going to play football ever again, and not for Brighton anyway, or like at any level like the Premier League. He might play a charity game here and there. It's going to restrict what he can do, unfortunately, and it would be tough to take for the Brighton players. And also, they probably miss him on the pitch as well, because even though he hasn't played the past few games because of the illness which has led to this diagnosis, he was still playing brilliantly at the start of the season for Brighton in their games, especially against Leicester was the one that I noticed the most, where he played really well, and that turned out to be his last ever game, so at least he went out on a high in a 5-2 victory. Just Brighton, they kept hold of the ball well, but they couldn't create chances enough to score what they needed to, because Brighton aren't a clinical side really. Solly March probably had the best chance of the game. He had a header which he needed to put into the corner. It was a chance he definitely should have scored, and David Raya did well to save it, but David Raya shouldn't have had the chance to save it, is the main point of it really. They also had a couple of half chances in the first half as well, which again David Raya did well to save. He was probably man of the match, David Raya, to be honest. He made some good saves, but there were chances where Brighton sort of just had to score. But you know what Brighton are like. They need loads of chances to score goals sometimes, and it was like watching Brighton from a couple of seasons ago, because it does feel as though recently their conversion rate in scoring chances has got a little bit better, as they have started to score goals more. Like we've seen them score 5 against Leicester, 3 against Liverpool, 4 against Man United at the end of last season. They've started to be better at scoring goals, but they needed to do more tonight. I think Brentford, they've done well to win this game, coming off the back of a couple of tough defeats at home to the most informed team in the Premier League right now, Arsenal, 3-0 defeat, and also last week away at Newcastle, who again are a very informed team, and that was a 5-1, so that was a massive defeat. And they've come up against Brighton. Brighton are a decent side, as everybody knows, and they've won 2-0. And I think the change of system definitely suited the team, because Thomas Frank decided that last week against Newcastle that he would go back to the 5 at the back, which they did use for pretty much the entirety of last season, but the 4 at the back at the moment just seems to suit them a lot better. I mean, they are effectively playing 3 centre-backs still, because Christopher Ayer is playing the right-back role, and then you've got Ben Mee and Ethan Pinnock, who's come back into the side once again, centre-back. And it just seems to work a lot more. What happens really is Mbeumo comes quite a lot deeper. So it's almost a 5 at the back at times, because you've got Rico Henry as a wing back, and Mbeumo sometimes can come deep for the ball, like he did for the goal. Actually, the first goal, he comes quite deep for the ball, and then that allows one of the midfield 3 to come forward and help the attack. It's usually, tonight it was usually on Jacob, but it could also have been Jensen at times as well. So yeah, it was a much improved performance from Brentford tonight. Brighton, it's pretty much a similar team to the last 2 games. I think it was exactly the same team against that they played against Tottenham, and it was quite a similar performance to the one against Tottenham actually, where they had a lot of the ball, created chances, but didn't take them. And yeah, very very similar story actually, just against arguably a lower quality side, but at the same time away from home. So you know, it's not really a catastrophe result, but it's one they would have preferred to have got more out of. Pretty obvious that, to be honest, but yeah. Anyway, thanks for watching this video, and I'll see you next time.